Today is basically all about fun stuff. So we're gonna be doing a lot of fun stuff. We're gonna get our hands dirty and make our very first contribution to open source. Yeah, let me go ahead to share my screen. So within my short um, time with us, we're gonna have a break, and the reason for the break is for us to like refresh ourselves and ask questions. So I don't want to assume that we're all following everything, every single thing that I'm saying. Okay. All right, let's dive into it. Can you see my screen? Before we start, um, I believe we were all informed in mails like what we need to get set up before we can actually follow like through with this workshop. So the first thing is you have to install Git. Secondly, you have to install Node Package Manager because that's what we're going to be using. For the sake of those who are new and you're not aware of like what Node Package Manager is basically yeah, package manager. All you have to do to have this installed is to just visit. Let me show you how to do that. If you have to just install Node, it comes is a package. The package manager comes with Node, so install Node and you have it running. So just go install Node JS, Node JS. Okay. So yeah, this is the web page. So you go if you are using the Windows, using the Mac OS, you just follow the prompt and you have it installed. You should also be aware like what the bit of your system is. So for mine is 64 bit, so you can have that installed. I already have it installed. Here's how you can confirm if you already have it installed. Let me open up the command prompt. I'm not sure why that opened several times. Okay. Um, can you see the screen? Really very tiny. Really hard to see it. If you're connected from a phone, can you see my screen? Are you able to read
Yeah,
out like what's on the code, the command prompt?
yeah,
I think you should kind of maybe zoom in a little. We can. It's not clear.
Okay. Uh, look, I can't zoom in from here, so maybe I'll just have to open the terminal from VS Code.
Yeah, I
no,
think that works.
I see I'm, I see I'm clear.
Yeah, if you're connected from a mobile phone, you can actually like expand the
This screen,
screen and
yeah,
yeah,
this is the full screen.
yeah, use the full screen. So I'm on VS Code. Basically, it will run the same way if you use the command prompt. So this is just what I want to show us here. Let me zoom in very well. To confirm if you have Node Package Manager installed, or if you have Node installed on your you have Node installed on your PC, you just run npm. Then you should see the version underneath here. If you don't see this, or if it's telling you npm is not recognized as a whatever, then it means you don't have Node Package Manager on your system. And that means you have to go install it here. So I won't waste our time showing you how to install. It's actually pretty straightforward. After you have the Node Package Manager installed and have Git installed, for those who want to install Git, you just go install see should be one of the first results there. Yeah, same thing. You check out, observe if you're using a Windows or Mac OS, and follow the prompts to install it. So currently, and also to check if you have Git installed, I think you can run the same thing. Git v. Okay, that's wrong. Um, I'm not sure what the code is to confirm if you have Git installed. There's no shame in that. I don't know everything. Um, so moving forward, let's just go straight to like actually seeing how you can, you know, contribute to open source. See the Git workflow involved in contributing to open source. So this is the project we're going to be working with, right? The open source music. Here's a preview. It's just a dummy project created for the sole purpose of this event. So these are people who has contributed um, to this project. We have Kingsley, Nelson, Emmanuel, Chinwendu, and Onichi. So if you complete the process I'm going to show you and make a contribution, your profile will appear here. So that is how we can tell that you have successfully made a contribution. And I hope to see 12 more profile here, hopefully by the end of today. That would mean that every single one of us tuned in on this call. Are we up to 12 or more than 12? I think we're about 16. Okay, that would mean every single one of us tuned into this call was able to understand the gate workflow. And also, you don't need to have experience working with React or have experience programming at all to be able to understand what you're going to be doing or to be able to do what we're going to do here today. And finally, you don't have to be a programmer to even contribute to open source. Just like someone asked, let's say, what README is, the README file, as well as other documentations and um, some other content on a project, were written by a writer, obviously. So there's a role called technical writing. So you can contribute as a technical writer. You can contribute as a designer. You can contribute as the project maintainer, just like I and Chinwe is going to be doing for this project. We review what you have, published, we review your PR, and then we decide whether or not this will stick to the main branch or not. All right, before I go ahead and basically go into the technical things, let's do a quick recap of what we learned yesterday. So, one very interesting and sometimes confusing topic about Git is the commit. Like, how does the commit work? It's like this is the fun way I like to explain it, and it's actually I think it's a pretty good analogy. If you're a gamer here or you're used to playing games, you should be familiar or you probably must have heard of Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto. If you have not, even basically every single adventure game, basically every single game uses the same system. So you play Grand Theft Auto as you complete missions, your game is being stored in like checkpoints. So if, for example, you finish like the first mission, you are on the second mission, and you didn't finish the second mission, and you somehow failed, and you got killed or got arrested. I'm using GTA now as a reference. You don't start the whole game from scratch. They don't introduce you to the game again from the beginning. No, you have to start from the last save checkpoint. For example, you go uh, mission 1 up to mission 25 to be it would be very hurtful if somewhere trying to achieve mission 26 you got shot, you probably got killed in the game, and you now have to start the entire game from the part like the mission 1. That'd be very painful. So that's basically how comment works. So for example, this is like completed the first mission, the state is saved for you like in a checkpoint, and then you play some more and it's saved. You play some more and it's saved. This is basically how it works. Same thing with Git. So you initialize your repository, you make your first commit, you do some more work, you make another commit. And the beautiful thing about this is same thing with most adventure games. You can decide to find a mission that you really enjoy playing go back to it to one of the last or previously saved checkpoints, and you can just play that mission. But it still saves your entire progress. So, for example, you're at mission 25, you can go back to mission 15 just to play it. You enjoy the experience of that mission, and after playing it, you can go back to your mission 25 where you actually are, and continue with your life. Same thing here. For example, let's say there's something wrong with the code at this point because we have snapshots and checkpoints. We can decide to go back to the previous checkpoint to understand exactly what is wrong. And in some cases, you can actually bring up these checkpoints, bring out this checkpoint, and compare what exactly is different, and to be able to find exactly what was changed and to be able to like pinpoint what the bug is. This is extremely important when you're dealing with like a really huge code base. Working with small project might not really understand how important this is. So now it gets interesting with Git because now you can create branches out of other branch. So your main timeline is considered a branch actually, but it's called main. Just as Ken clarified yesterday, Git on default calls it master, but GitHub configured it to be called main. I'm not sure why they have to change that, but I think main is more reasonable, really faster to type. Probably that might be the reason. Um, but that is not where I'm going. Now in this project, for example, this is the original owner of the project. We made the first commit, make the second commit. These are checkpoints. Now this is the third commit right over here. I don't know if you can see the cursor. Okay. And but before he made his third commit, made his third change, someone decided to join you on that project. And instead of both of them working on the same timeline at the same time, which is going to like completely ruin the code, this guy can decide to from here take a copy of the code, which is called branching, right? Take a copy of the code that he is going to modify. So this code here is basically like what is here with new changes from this new user A in this new branch. And then this commit here is made to the main, while this commit here is made to this new branch. So for example, if here we have made an navbar and here you decide to do like an about page, this guy here does not see that about page, or maybe he's now working on something like the content page. The content page does not appear here. These are two different branch. You understand? So they're like different. Moving forward, someone can also decide to even branch even from this branch, and they can branch on this branch and so on. So it's very important to keep things simple. If I'm working with like a team, I prefer to keep the branching to like the second level. Like after the main, I can create like a staging server or staging branch out of main, and probably create like other branches out of the staging server, and I stop there to the second level. And it makes things really simpler to understand. But you can actually go and branch and branch and branch and branch out to probably infinity. Well, that's not very advisable, so you don't get confused about what's going on your repository. So now the cool thing now is, like I said, here is the navbar. This guy committed like the about page. This guy committed like the contact page, right? And here probably decided to add like the footer. But all these new changes made by the branch A is not here on the main. But you can actually, merge them. So now main and branch A is up to date, but new branch is not up to date. Now, new branch can get up to date simply like very easy with a line of code. This was made possible by Git. But I'm just using this illustration to show you visually like how commit and how branching works. So commits are basically checkpoints, and branching is basically like copies of the code made at different checkpoints. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So I need verbal response to make sure that we're all following.
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, good. So the next thing I want us to talk about, which is we're still on the recap, right? Let me is it from full screen? I think I have that somewhere here. Okay, so I did explain this about how the Git stages works. So basically, local is independent from remote. I'm going to explain this because we already went through this yesterday. Local like operates isolated from the remote. That's why I don't need data to like make new changes to that repository that you are contributing to, especially when you already have it cloned on your local PC. When you make new changes, Git on default turns a blind eye to it. Right, so you are allowed to explore and do whatever you want to do. But as soon as you use git add, that's the command, it automatically tells Git, hey, check this out. I just made some changes. Now Git is aware of it, that new change. And then when you say Git commit, what that means is that Git is gathering everything you've added, everything you have made him aware of, or you made him aware of on that repository as new changes. It gathers them together, package them, as if you're doing a delivery, package them together. For example, you order for a mouse, and a few hours later, you order for a bag. It's possible that Jumia could package them together. So that's the idea, right? Everything you've added, it packages together, package them together, ready to be pushed. So now when you hit the gate push, it now takes that new change and make sure it's there on the remote so that both files are in sync. So this is basically the illustration of how this works. So we're gonna see all of this in action today. All right, so let me end this and let's get real busy. Now, the experience of me, the owner of this project, is different from the experience of you, who's going to be a contributor. Even though this project is public, you visiting this project, you don't have full privilege to make modifications to it. Okay. Um, Here's what I mean. You cannot merge a pull request. That's one. And number two, you cannot create branches directly here or make any modification at all. So to properly show you what I mean, I'm going to open this link as a different user or open this repo as a different user. So I have a different, sorry, I have a different browser ready to simulate that. Let's open this up. So here I'm signing as a different person entirely on GitHub. Let me show you. So for currently, this is the user here. Can you see? Can you see? This is admin, already admin, that's the username here. And then here, the username is Kingsley. Muriel Kingsley. See here. So this is the owner of this repository, and this guy is basically the visitor um, that is seeing this repo right now on GitHub. So this is basically how you're going to see this project. So currently we have several branches. Now you notice that there's no way for this guy to create a new branch. But if I go over to the branch because I'm the owner of this repository, I can basically create a new branch. Here's the call to action here. Here's the button. So I can click this and create a new branch. But this guy, he can't because this project does not belong to him. Even though even though uh the project is public, it does not belong to him. There's a lot of restriction. So this is where forking comes in. So fork is a gate tag term. Click to the recording, please. Okay. Fork is a Git tag term. What that means is that, hey, I like this project. Can you copy this project and put it on my repository? So, because plagiarism is a big deal, so GitHub, once it does that for you, helps you package this file and make it look like it's yours. It's gonna put it there that hey, this was copied from somebody. Or like yeah, GitHub is a gossip. So let's do that. Let's focus repo. So I'm gonna click on this and just follow the prompts to by default folks are named blah 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 blah, copy the main branch only. um yeah, that's pretty it. If you are in like in a company or you have other organization accounts you're managing, you can fork into that, but I'm going to fork into the personal account, so I'm going to do that. Create fork. Now this is what I was talking about. So now the repo, we basically like make a copy of that repo, but now under this user. Now let's go to branches and see something. Notice now there's a new branch button. So now this guy has this is like a different isolation of the project. And this guy have full privilege at this point to make changes on this project. But whatever change he makes here, I, who is the owner of this project, would not be aware of it. The only thing I can tell is that hey, someone who forked this repo, and I can check out who forked the repo. You know, yeah. So, but there's no way I can tell that there's a new change happening in here. And also, like I said, GitHub will always give credit to the owner of the project. So it's telling you, hey, this was forked from Kingsley and from this repo that belongs to Kingsley. So are we following so far? Is there any part that was confusing so far?
Well, so far it's clear. Everything's clear.
Good. All right. So now that we have this kind of privilege, we can now, because we need this version of this code base where we have a lot of privilege. That is the version that we need so that we can really work on it, like basically freely, right? So this is what we're going to clone to our local repository rather than this one because we don't have full permission here, right? I have full permission here because I'm the owner, but now I'm making assumption as a visitor. So this dude does not have full permission over here because this repo belongs to Kingsley. But this copied or this forked repo, I have full permission here. So here's what I can do. I can go ahead to see this button over here code. First of all, there's several tabs here, right? We might not cover every single tabs here, but we're going to go over the important ones. But look at this one, the code. This is where the code is. All these have unique things they do for this repo. We're going to focus here on code. So click here and you see copy. So I'm basically copying the URL of this project. So you can do that here. If you observe very well, you see that what is here is the same thing as what is here. The only difference is .git. Okay. So now let's go over to VS Code because we want that project to be on our local. Hey, remember here, we forked the repo first, and now we're going to clone the forked repo. We're not cloning the original repo. So let me put it on desktop so it'll be easy to find. So Control KO. I love shortcut a lot, so I'm using Control KO to like find directory I need. So I'm just gonna go to desktop just for easy access. Let me put a new folder, uh, new folder, and call it workshop. So basically, it can be anywhere on your PC. If you are always organized, I'm sure you have like a folder for like open source project or probably a folder for personal project and all that stuff. So this is where I want my stuff to be in. So I'm just gonna click select folder. Yes, I chose the others later. Okay, cool. Now the folder is open here. See here. So how do we know the folder is this is the folder we're looking at? For those who are not very like conversant with VS Code, I can create a new stuff here like readme.md and you see that it's on the folder. Let me open it. So I'm just gonna go to desktop. No, that's downloads. Desktop is right above. And then workshop, and you see the new file I just created, readme, right? You see, and if I delete it from here, it deletes from VS Code. See? So all these things I'm doing is normal things, but I'm just going to be doing them inside VS Code so I don't have to be switching windows. Okay. So and I need my terminal. So I'm going to open the terminal and truncate this. Okay. All right. So far so good, right? So now we need to clone this repo. It's very simple. Git clone. Like you don't really have to cram this now, right? Well, I want to clone a repo. What I used to clone is git clone. And then you put in the URL next to it, git clone, and the URL we copied from here. This URL will copy it from here, or you copy this and basically append the git at the end of it. So that's what I did here. Git clone and the repository URL. Enter. If you are following along as I speak, please indicate. I would like to know those of us that are actually following along right now.
Yeah,
Like I mean, if
I'm
you have a
following
PC
along.
opened, like if you have a PC open doing stuff I'm saying.
Yes, we have it open.
Okay, okay, cool. All right, so we've successfully cloned this, and now this is it. We need this is it. This is the folder. Open source music is telling you that you have successfully cloned it. Everything in here, as you can see, is everything here. So we basically just made a copy of the fork repo on our local. That's what we did. No, there's no. I understand that anytime you hear the word gate, GitHub, it feels like there's something really technical, very strong happening, but it's not. It's actually very simple. Yeah, me too. I thought so, and it scared me, but it's not really that scary. So basically, that's what happened here. We just copied what's on that repo to our local. So everything here, if you want to explore, you see that everything here is what's on that repo exactly as it is. But our speaker yesterday, our facilitator yesterday, did mention something about git ignore. This is not on the scope of what I want to show you today, but I want to talk about it. You notice gate is always there. What this does is things you don't want to be here, right? You use git ignore to exclude them. So when you're pushing to, like for example, if you have some secrets, right? Like if you have like a robust app and you're interacting with some private URL endpoints, you don't want to expose it soon to hackers. You can create something called an env file, not in the scope of what we're doing today, but I just wanted to have the idea. So you put those secrets in there, and then you use it on your code as like a constant, like a variable. Um, but when you're pushing to GitHub, you can inform Git not to include this by going over to your Git ignore file and just putting some stuff there. So this first line here is a comment. Comment means like a line of code that is not functional, like you just put to sleep, right? But under here, node modules, the PNP, the JS, the coverage, the build, and the rest of these were created by the owner of this project. So basically, you might need these files, but they are not included in your repository. Am I making sense? Hope are you
Yes, sir,
confused
you're
here? I
making
know we're
sense.
talking about like git ignore sometimes can get confusing. So what this means is if git ignore means that whatever is in here was ignored, it means then it's not here on our clone repository. Do you understand? Because it was ignored, right? So it's not on the remote repository. So that means we have to install these things, and this is where the node package manager comes in. So I don't want to edit what's on the git ignore file, so I'm just going to close it. Don't save. So I'm going to open the terminal again. I use control and the back tick, that's the key below your escape button to your far left. So that's a shortcut to open your terminal. So you just go over here to the menu and terminal, new terminal. Okay. So what I want to do now is I want to find those files that were ignored and fetch them. So I'm going to go around npm install. And this usually takes a while. Okay, let's see what the problem is. Yeah, it's telling us npm install error code. And then there's something about uh, terminal errors that is just really, really scary. But looks like there's a lot of things happening here, but there's not. The problem is we've cloned the repo, but we're not in that repository. It's crazy. We're still in the workshop. You see? So we need to go into see there's like a second level, like the you understand. So we need to go into this, into open source.music. This extra code you are seeing here, package dash lock.js .json is this code I ran trying to attempt to install things that were not available. So, but it failed because this is empty. So we're gonna have to enter into this. Two ways is either you use VS Code to enter or use your terminal. I'm just gonna use VS Code because I already showed you how, which is Control KO. And I'm gonna open workshop and now select that open source music, select folder. So it's gonna open it up here like it's the main folder, not as a child folder. So now let's run that code again. Let's close this. Let's truncate this so we have more real estate. npm install. These lines of code are actually very simple. We don't want to install, you know, packages that were excluded by the, git ignore file. What we need to run is node package manager. It's telling you this is what handles packages, right? And then we're saying, hey, install. And we're not telling you what to install. It's going to find it and install them. There's a shorthand for this code. Uh, DMI, and it does the same thing. Yeah, I thought to let you know. But I always use this, because I'm lazy. It's normal. So, but I do expect that probably you have a note. Don't try to cram these things. Actually, they are very straightforward. But if you have a note, writing them down, or your notepad or on your paper or whatever, just write them down. The more you use them, the more easier it is for you to remember it and get to a point you are just natural with it. You don't have to like Google to remember this code. So now that's what it's currently doing. It's trying to find what exactly is missing on this repository, and it's going to make the necessary downloads so that we can actually use this repository on our local. Now, how you fetch this sometimes varies, like seldomly, like very rare, some like very sometimes, like if you understand what I mean. Um, so that's why it's always safe that before you start messing with your repository after being cloned, you want to let me act as this user. You want to take a good look at the README file and see what insights that this particular project manager has given to you. So you don't have to try to figure everything out yourself. So the reason why this is npm install I'm running, but sometimes if it's a backend code, there's a different line of code. Some front-end code, you do something like npm run dev, right? Depending on how that project was configured. You understand? Sorry, my bad, my bad. npm install works. I think it still works if you're using the new package manager. About for backend languages, I'm not sure how they're able to get theirs because I'm a backend developer, obviously, but I think it should be the same way. But let's read through this. Get started with this project. This project was bootstrapped by this. I must say this is not the most descriptive readme file, so I think it has all the information we need. Available scripts. We have the npm install here. We have the npm start. We have the npm run build, and basically it. So npm install, what it does, it installs the dependencies you need to run the code on your development server. Already on that. And so far, you already know that this has a shorthand. You can replace this entire install by with I. And then npm start. This one's the app in your development server, in your development mode. You have to open this localhost 3000 to view it on your browser. The page will reload when you make changes. You may also see the linked errors in the console. So these are instructions that the maintainer has kept for you to make it easy for you to navigate the repo. So it's safe, best practice that before you start messing with that repo you've cloned, you want to go through a readme file. So back to what we're doing. So it's telling us that everything is all in here, except we have some vulnerabilities. We're going to ignore all of this. Okay, let's just go ahead and follow the next step. What is the next step? npm start. Let's do that. npm start. So before I go ahead and run this code, two things. One, this does not have a shorthand. Okay, so you cannot run npm s unlike the npm install. And secondly, um, and secondly, hmm, somehow I forgot what I wanted to say here. And secondly, the git ignore. Um, Remember, it's used to hide some files, especially some company secret or your project secret. And your npm install does not fetch that secret for you. It does fetch some dependencies that you need, but it does not fetch those secrets. So you have to reach out to the maintenance to give you the secret, or yeah, I think that's basically what you need to do. And you have to also store it in an env file here, so you don't also expose it. But most times, most projects that have those kind of secrets are mostly not open source projects. So I just wanted to put that in there. Let's run npm start and see what happens. Do I still have you here?
Yes, sir. I
I have a
ran
very
mine and
boring
it was showing
voice.
me some errors.
Okay, we're going to talk about it. So look at what it's showing me here. Something is already running on port 3000, and that this is true. Normally, probably you won't get this, but let me show you something. I have a different window open here, and I have something different on my VS Code, and this is running. I was working on a project before this event, so I don't want to override that stuff. So I'm just going to do this yes, meaning that I would like to run this in another port. So naturally, it should run in localhost 3000. But now I think it's going to run in localhost 3001. It's nothing different, it's the same thing. So I'm going to say yes, just run this, and let's see what happens. Starting the development server, and yeah, there we go. So let me zoom this in. This was the one we opened straight from the repo. You can check out the URL. This is the main URL that's posted online. This is what is on the development server. Okay, and it's the same stuff, right? Because we've not changed what is in it. So I want to zoom in so we can see it clearly. I'm not sure how I can zoom this URL part here, but I hope you can see the URL is different. This is localhost 3001, and this is open source Vercel, sorry, open source music.vercel.app. So this is the link here, but this is my local server. So as soon as I close this local server, what happens is this will no longer like open. So that's it. So I want you to be aware that they're different, but they look very much alike because we've not changed anything at all from that repo. So now we have our local server set up. What we want to do now is to actually dive into the code base, try to understand it, and then make our contribution. Okay, but before we do that, let's have that break right now. So this is an opportunity for you to show me the errors you got while trying to follow along with these steps. Gideon, was that you? You wanted to say something.
Yes,
You saw an error.
yes, yes. I saw an. Should I copy and paste the error? I should screenshot it.
Yeah, copy and paste it. Have you done that?
Yes, I've done that.
Okay. So I stopped sharing my screen. We'll get back to it. Some people are just really, really quiet. Please grab the mic now. It's an open space. Gideon pasted an error. Ujoma pasted an error there too. Okay. Login there was conflicted between package injection.
I need to uninstall it.
Okay. Okay, Gideon, my guess is that you are not in that repository yet. Like, sorry, on the folder. Like, you have to go into it, CD into it if you're using terminal. If you're using VS Code, use the KO and find that particular folder.
Okay.
And Ijoma, I'm reading yours right now. The error is telling you that there is network connectivity issues. Yeah, that's the thing. MTN doesn't have
My network is
patience
actually
to be
stable.
sincere. Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Um, MTN doesn't have patience. I've experienced that quite too many times. Like, if it's trying to install whatever is installing, at any point, if there's like a shake in your internet, it cuts. Like, Nigerian internet generally is not very stable. If you use, there's this tool I think fast.com. I use it to monitor your code, your internet speed. I'm not sure if that one is even very well show you like the real like graph. There's this one, I've forgotten what it is. Shows the full graph, right? You see it when you see the network when it spikes down, when it goes back up, when it spikes down. So those interval where it spikes down disconnects the NPM and it just throws on that error. So you need to have like a really stable network. The network doesn't have to be super fast, it just have to be stable. Like you can have a very fast network and it's not stable. So that could cause that error. We actually, we actually saw this error with someone trying to like simulate this whole thing yesterday. Um, that was guided. So what she did rather was she ended the call, took her PC outside, and it worked. That's what she told me. She came back and joined the call and told me it is working out. So I probably recommend you do the same, but I wouldn't say you should leave the call right now because you might miss a lot of things, and I would hate to like repeat myself. So, but the rest assured that the problem is just network. Yeah. So, how about you, John? Have you been able to like solve the problem?
Yes, partially. Like now, I think it's showing me an error from this time around the file itself. Let me copy it and paste it so that it fits.
No, better still, share your screen. I'm sure
Okay.
there'll be one or two things that we can all learn from it.
Okay, sir.
I apologize for the noise.
Can everyone hear me? Hello?
Okay, yeah, I can.
Yeah, I'm looking at Gideon's pace now. Like Gideon, your own is not like an error per se. It's just telling you that maybe one of your state setters is you're not using it or something. It's not an error per se. I was just to like add that.
Okay. This was how it was before, like during the first error. So after I resolved it using what our speaker asked me to do, and I got this one here, and then this
Okay.
error.
Who's speaking? It's Gideon, right?
Yes, it's Gideon. It's Gideon.
I want to know who's speaking. Like who owns the screen? Okay, cool. It looks like everything works fine. Everything worked fine, but this
Yes.
error is on the code
Yes.
itself, not on your own end.
Okay, okay, not on my okay. Okay.
And yeah, and this is the beauty of open source. You could see
Okay.
errors or probably bugs that the original owner of the project did not see, and you just fix it
Not
with the
see it.
PR of how you have contributed, right? So people feel like
Okay.
before you can contribute, you have to like create a whole new like app or something. No, you can do some like little things. Okay, so looks like we're all in sync.
Yes.
I've taken a little time to like stretch and drink a cup of water, so we can go again. So, but let's continue.
All
I'm
right.
going to
Thank you,
share my
sir.
screen again. Thanks. Yeah, I just realized like I did not introduce myself um, before I started this session today. Apologies. My name is Kingsley. I'm a Girl Campus expert. I'm a community leader. I basically help build inclusive and diverse experience in the communities, hangouts and events, and you know, yeah, that's it. We don't have too many lists or too many titles to my name. Okay, so now we have everything all set up. This is what I want to do, so I can see whatever I'm making changes to React time. So this was created using React. There's something React does, like it automatically like refresh the development server if you change anything on the code. Let's simulate something. Um, this here and this. Uh, Let me expand this so I can see clearly. So let me change that. Let me don't mess with this guy's contribution. Let's go straight to like the app.js. Let me see. I'm looking for something I can just quickly change. Okay, let me change this. As soon as I save this, then if you come over, it changes immediately. Like if you are a front-end developer, you realize that when you're working with a development server like this, after you save, there'll be a need for you to go over. Um, so give me a minute to plug my phone in. It's very low. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back from the commercial break. So yeah, like I was saying, if you are a front-end developer, you notice that when you're working in development server, when you save something, you have to go there and refresh. Like for example, if I make a change here, I have to go over here and do like a refresh. I have to refresh this page before I can see the new change. So there's a VS Code extension we use to bypass that. It's called Live Server. This is it over here. And if you're hearing about extensions for the first time, I'm not sure if you can download the extensions in other code editors like Atom, but VS Code is what I'm used to. Go over. If you see the left end, basically the last icon there is extensions. It's like this because I overextend like over zoomed in the screen. Let me put it back to like normal. You see the extension, right? This is edit lens. This is a different extension I was added. So this is the extensions tab. You can go over here and find extensions to install. So we use that to like help make it like for the lazy folks like myself, make it so that we don't have to always refresh the development server every time we make a change to the code base. Um, but in this case, if you are observant, you notice that it's not being used. It's because this whole project is React. It's created with React. If you are new to React or hearing about React for the first time, I recommend you make your own research. React is um, like a JS library. There's a JS library, and all these things is already like in the template, and it helps you like automatically loads the page. Everything is already prepared, you know. So you don't have to worry about how that is being. So right now, if you upload my step up to this point, whatever change you make here, we perfect here ASAP. So let's change this back to what it was. See, it's changed. Then I have to refresh the page. Okay, moving forward. Now that we followed, okay, this is not the Windows, the other window I'm working with is this guy. So now we use the README file to understand how to set this up in our local environment. We can go over here and search for something called contributing.md. Every open source project always have this, unless they're in an early stage. And that's also like a very good opportunity for you to be like to volunteer rather to create the contributing MD page, uh, to contributing the MD file, and by doing so, you are contributing to that open source project. So we already have one. Um, Shout out to Chinwe for doing this. This is her. So she contributed to this project, and she's the one that made this, and she's the host of this event. So how to make a contribution? I recommend you go through this on your own time because she was very detailed, and I love that. Most of the things we've already done it. So was designed to help you understand how to work around this whole thing without having like a person guidance like myself. If you were the curious type, yesterday when we made this like available to you and you somehow ran across this contributing with ID, if you follow these steps, this instruction, you would be able to do exactly what we're doing so far and be able to complete it to the end. And what I'm doing here right now will feel like a revision to you. So yeah, the first step is to fork the repo. We did that, and then we clone that forked repo. We did that. So now we're supposed to create a new branch. So this is based on the instruction that we're going to create a new branch, and we should create that new branch out from main. Okay. Talking about branches, there's something I intentionally omitted while we were doing the clone, while we're doing the fork. Look at this. Let's go to branches. You notice here that there's four branches. Okay, I want to see. Okay, yeah, this is all of it. On here, lumen codes is the spelt, the development. So and then the main. These are the four main branches. Um, but when we forked it here, let's go back to code. It was one branch, just main. Yeah, this makes sense because we don't want to be aware of all the other changes in other branch that have not been meshed to the original timeline. We want to work straight from the original timeline. For example, probably Lumen could have new features that probably the maintainer is not ready to include to the main project, and you go ahead to fork, fork the entire branch and branch out from that branch. It's highly unlikely that your contribution is going to get merged, um, because they are not ready to push, merge that branch. Probably until they merge that branch, that's when they will not consider your input. And probably before that time, someone else must have taken that same issue and resolved it and make a pull request and it be merged. Okay, so this is just something to look out for. Right when we were doing that, the fork, trying to fork that repo, there was an option to just fork the main branch or to fork the entire branch. So I intentionally chose to fork just the main branch. One, we don't care about the rest. So that is for the that's the maintenance program. That is his own job to worry about what to merge and what's in the other branch and whatnot. What you're concerned about is what is in the original project timeline. So that's the main. Okay. Now we want to create a branch. So I'm going to go ahead and do let me open that again because the branch you need to terminal. Let me close this. I'll leave this one open. I don't know if you noticed already, but like all the JS files are basically in here on the SRC folder, and that was where I got the app.js file. Okay, so now let's open the account now. Just checking this menu. There's a shortcut for that, Control B, and then one branch, right? So branching is a Git problem. So use Git branch. Um, let's call the branch name Friday admin. And the reason why I'm using that is because that's the username of this guy. And to be consistent, let's keep it all like small caps, and let's find that. Okay, I'm telling us the switch B is unknown switch B is not a code. Okay, let's look at this carefully. Okay, yeah, I made a mistake with the code. Usually, if you want to create a branch, first thing you want to do is git branch, and then the branch name, and the second thing you want to do is git checkout, and then that branch name. So what that does is it creates the branch, that's the git branch, and then the second line of code like takes you into that new branch you just created. It doesn't make sense. If you look at the far left bottom,
Sorry, can you hear me?
there's something written the code name. Okay, go ahead.
Can,